when I started on this journey with the drugs, um, a lot of things changed. My relationship with my family deteriorated to the point where I was kind of living there at my house, but I wasn't. I don't really remember my sister for a 5, 6 year period. I don't remember much except for conflict and fighting. So in that regard, that lifestyle was extremely destructive. On the other side of it, I met so many people with so many different kinds of views, different points of views that challenged everything that I ever believed in. And I guess it's fair to say that I've always been extremely open-minded. And so when I would meet these people, I didn't discount anything. Um, really, from the time I can remember, I've always been a listener. People have always called me and pulled me aside and talked to me to try to work through things that they're going through. And so it was in all of these different experiences with all these different people that my worldview really started to grow. And I kept doing drugs, and I did more drugs. And when I was 17, I actually almost had a heart attack. I was with my friend one night. I was at his house all night, and we just loaded up on all different kinds of drugs. And I had a hockey practice the next morning, and I went and collapsed on the ice and was taken to the hospital. And it turns out my heart rate was at about 170 beats a minute, 175 beats a minute, literally beating out of my chest. And the doctors warned me about this lifestyle I was into, and I took some of it to heart. But I kept going. I kept with that lifestyle because it was something that was extreme. It awakened something in me every single day. Every single time I would get together with my friends, something was coming alive in me, and it was intoxicating. It was. It seemed like all these pieces that I'd been looking for, or didn't even know I was looking for, were coming into my life, and it was pretty awesome. And so I lived this lifestyle pretty hard for 5, 6, 7 years, and I mean, there was a point for 2 years I was never sober. Not one moment of 2 years was I sober. Whether it was pot or acid or alcohol, I was just always on something. And to be honest, it was some of the best times of my life. I mean, some of the best times of my life. I had so much fun. There were such carefree times, and I look back on it with a lot of fondness. Yeah, there was a lot of problems that happened because of the way I was living. I made some really terrible decisions, but I've never had more fun in my life. So take that for what you will. I'm just being completely honest here. And during that time, I got really involved with the hippie lifestyle and the art, the free spirit, artistic crowd. I found a band called Fish when I was in briefly in college. I went to college for psychology. I wanted to be a psychology major, and during that time, somebody introduced me to the band Fish, and from 1995 until 2004, I kind of followed them around and went to a bunch of their concerts. And it's not just the music that was attractive to me, it was the whole lifestyle, just this roaming band of people with such similar outlooks on life, and the diversity and the authenticity just really just was awesome to me. And so for, like I said, from 1995 to about 2004, for almost 10 years, I followed this band around and just had a bunch of great experiences. Um, but right around 1998, the summer of 1998, in August, well, I got a DUI in September of 1997, and I had been just living like crazy up until that point. I just, no consequences, you know, I didn't care. I was just about having fun, and then I got this DUI in September '97, and it it changed me. It definitely was a foundational experience in my life. You know, I can point to several places where my life, I can look back and know that my life took a drastic and meaningful turn, and September '97 was one of those when I got the DUI. I lost my license for 30 days. I had to pay like a $1,300 fine. I had to do some classes, and it was on my record for 7 years. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But I didn't make a wholesale change in my life at that point. In the summer of '98, I was coming home. I was living in my parents' house, and sorry, there's a helicopter. I was living in my parents' house, and I came home one night, and my mom was up, and long story short, she found about 10 hits of acid on me. And it was right at that moment where it just kind of came to a head. We were both just sick of each other, sick of the fighting. They basically, my mom and my dad basically kicked me out, and mutually I just decided I couldn't live there. I couldn't do this to them anymore. And it was just heartbreaking. It was a terrible night. I ended up sleeping in my truck for about a week. Just with like 2 bags. I was just living out of my truck, and then some friends took me in, and one thing led to another, and I ended up getting an apartment with one of my good friends. And so we were doing the bachelor thing for a couple months, and all during this time I could feel something was shifting. Something major and foundational was shifting in my life. All this craziness and wildness and recklessness, it was coming to a head, and I could feel it. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, but it was all just, things were taking a different turn, and somehow I intuitively knew that. It just started to become empty. You know, the more pot I smoked, the more I just felt empty. I just felt tired. It was a difficult time. I got to the point where I didn't know, like I would wake up, and because I'd smoked so much pot and done so many drugs for so long and lived this lifestyle, I got to this point where I was having a great deal of difficulty figuring out and discerning between what was real and what I had imagined or what I dreamt. So I was like living in this nebulous, ambiguous world of, did I say this? Did I dream it? Did I actually do this? And my mind just felt like it was in a knot. And like I'd been writing I'd been writing a little bit here and there, trying to be cool. I was a big Jim Morrison fan, so I was trying to write all these cool, dark poems, and but at that point, it was when I really discovered that writing was something that was necessary for me. It helped me to figure out who I was. It helped me to get all this stuff that was in my head and in my heart out, and it was like a mirror. So I started writing real heavily at the end of 1998. I stopped smoking cigarettes at the end of 1998. Just all these things started to happen.